scheduled.
We are live. It is Friday. It's 12:30. It can mean only one thing. Jerry Lyons has got his weekend wig on. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm going to go for a little trim later on, probably today, if I can do it before the school run.
And do you not just post it into them? They do it, post it back to you, they glue it back on again.
It's like Uber hair. Uber Eats hair.
Jerry, what a week it's been.
Week
is, you know what they say, a week is a long time in politics. It's a hell of a lot of time in the property market at the moment. It's, it's interesting. Mortgage rates are coming down a little bit. There's a bit more stability. People are, are looking forward to Christmas as well.
I'm so glad you mentioned mortgage rates because, hello, Megan, because I got a message from a mortgage advisor friend of ours, and he went to me, Jerry, you're in Nationwide. Speak to him. You'll get that deal you've just signed up for a bit cheaper. And I got the deal cheaper because I'm an existing client. I couldn't be asked to fanny about and just do all the other stuff. It saved me over the course of 5-year fixed. It saved me something like 1,500 quid. And my plan is to pay it off after the 5 years. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I think it's worth people just having those chats with mortgage advisors because he's very high up in my Christmas list for that.
I bet. Well, that's a really interesting story. And see, it's not all bad news and doom and gloom.
Just avoid the news. That's the easy way around it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's try and talk about some of the things that have been in the news a little bit, but also we've got you sent me very kindly, your handwritten notes, which was just a joy to read, let me tell you. So if you want to interpret those hieroglyphics for anyone at home, Jerry's got some tips of different topics and different things that you can, as an agent locally, concentrate on that he thinks he would be quite good for you. And some of them do look genuinely really good. Can we, though, before we get down to business with that, can we talk about, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bloody do it. Can we talk about Christmas? Just for a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Apparently.
Can we talk about Christmas just for a second? Yeah? Just for 1 second. Wait a second.
Buddy the Elf lives on in the spirit of David Mintz.
Look, even got a little Christmas tree on my head. I can't be more Christian than that, guys. All right? I'm making an effort for you lot. No, seriously, though, it is coming up to Christmas, and part of the Christmas tradition every year is the John Lewis advert, the Marks and Spencer advert. You've even got the Aldi advert if you're a fan of carrots. All of that is there for you to look at. But this year's John Lewis advert was a masterclass in advertising in an uncertain era, in a difficult climate, a difficult financial climate. Because if you're a major retailer, your first instinct at Christmas time is to say, consume. We need you to buy this, buy that. And it's all about lifestyle and aspiration generally.
Yeah.
But this year, John Lewis took a different track. Do you want to tell us all about that, Jerry?
Well, it was you that brought it to my attention yesterday. I didn't realize it'd been released. But they always do it around the same time. I think it's the second Friday of November, always around the 10th and the 11th. I'm looking at my little calendar there. And yeah, if people haven't seen it, go and watch it. It looks like a middle-aged bloke practicing, trying to get cool with skateboards. And then it takes a wonderful twist at the end. And it's like I said to you off air, what John Lewis is so good at is creating an emotive story that just gently goes over to their brand. Is it going to make people go out and shop at John Lewis? Maybe not. But is it going to hurt their image? Definitely not.
I think it's so good because that message is go and support a charity.
Yeah.
We're supporting a charity. This is the right time of the year to do it. And as usual, the music was spot on. The video, it was heartwarming. And genuinely, I don't know how anyone can get upset at a John Lewis advert. I know that some people go, oh, I don't like diverse families. I don't like all this stuff that they normally do. But to those Brexit voters, I say, just get used to it, love. You know.
Yeah, and enjoy the queues. That's what I say. This is irony. I was in the local co-op. There's a big queue, bloke in front of me. He's got a Daily Mail under his arm and a bottle of port. Turns around to me and goes, they should get some more staff. And I just wanted to say, you shouldn't have voted Brexit. And he said, how do you know? I said, come on, mofo. We know. Anyway, we've alienated 3 people when our audience is 6, David. So what we're going to do?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm off to Europe where things are good and things are diverse. I don't mind saying that. No, I've got to tell you that there is the world after Brexit felt a little bit colder, a little bit more xenophobic, and a lot of people. I have heard people talk about John Lewis's adverts, and I don't like having it rammed down my throat, is what they say. And to me, I just can't. Well, first of all, I've never heard anything more racist in all my life. But it's an attitude, and it needs to go quick. But this year, they've nailed it. It's fantastic. It's a message that we can all get behind. And how great is it that retailers are spending quite significant money not advertising their own products, but actually sort of advertising good causes. But I will tell you one thing.
Go on.
And this is the bottom line, because you might be watching this wondering, well, do I need to do the same? Should I do the same? Is there any point if it just costs money? I'll tell you, if I have to spend my money somewhere, I feel like spending it with John Lewis. If I can buy the same product there, I'd rather support them because I know that they're in turn supporting other people. I've got to tell you, that's clever.
Right, but this is what good to elite estate agents do all the time. They're supporting their communities. They've got a great offer. All things being equal, if you think, I can't make up my mind, and your wife then turns around to you and goes, oh, that other lot, they sponsored little Susie's book drive or Johnny's football team, or do you know what I mean? So it's that, like you said there, all things being equal, what's the thing that makes you go, I'm going to John Lewis instead of going into Marks and Spencer's? Interestingly, Marks and Spencer's kind of got this one wrong, because don't they have a big picture of a feast or something somewhere in their Christmas? Yeah. And they got a lot of stick from that because people just want to be angry nowadays, don't they? We live in the age of rage. People say, I'm just angry. I'm angry. The only things that anger me is James Corden. That's the only thing literally in life now. I was angry last week. I'm not. I've been walking.
Do you know how angry I am about James Corden?
Not more than me. I'd kill him.
I was in a supermarket. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and they went, you do all those podcast things, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I got a little bit excited because I thought, oh, it's a fan. And he goes, yeah, you sort of remind me of a Jewish James Corden. And I was just like, no. I don't want to be that guy. Because I don't think he is. I don't think he comes across as genuine.
Right. Do you want a bit of gossip? Celebrity gossip. He can't.
I love celebrity gossip. Go on.
My very good friend, I'm not going to name him, but he was the bloke I used to jump out of in my little videos. He'd be my spoof fall guy.
Yes.
James is his name. Yeah, James is his name. He does a lot of live events, or used to do lots of live events. He was a live event manager, and Google hired James Corden for something like £500,000 to come over, present, and go. And apparently, he was a horrible, horrible man. He's very rude. And what's the woman, Dame Karen Brady? Heard she's horrible too. So there you go. Oh, David's gone. So
I'm here somewhere.
My
camera's just out.
It's James Corden is like that. Was it Candyman or Shadow Man? If you say his name 3 times, you disappear. You get murdered.
That's awful. I felt like James Corden had invaded me for a minute. Go on.
And that's it, really. Yeah, Dame Karen Brady. She's another one. I've heard nothing but bad things about her.
So this is it, right? And why are we surprised? Because we expect that the people we see on the silver screen or we expect that they're trying to be nice on air, and you would want them to be that way in real life as well, right? And and some people just forget to, forget that they should be a bit more real.
And with James Corden, it annoys me because I don't get it. It's like something I don't understand. Do you ever look at something and think, oh, I can realize why people find Dave Chappelle funny or Chris Rock funny, or I'm trying to think of an English comedian who's funny, David Mintz funny. Right?
Yeah.
I just don't get James Corden. I just don't.
So I think he was last funny in that role as Smithy in Gavin and Stacey. That's it, right? Anything outside of that character context, to be honest, for me wasn't working as a presenter. But that's just my 10 pence worth. But that's not what people are listening to this for. What they want to know is, what are Jerry's top tips? Let's get into it.
Let's get it on. I'm just gonna, you said I hand wrote it. Gavin and Stacey. We've just been called Gavin and Stacey by Megan.
Didn't I just say, oh, are we Gavin and Stacey? There you go. There's your handwriting, Jerry. Tell us all about it.
Right. 9 ideas, because content and PR are very much kind of like this. You don't know where one starts and one ends. Good content is actually very easy to use as PR, and good PR is actually very easy to use as good content. So here are 9 ideas, David. Would you like to hear them?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's 9 ideas for good PR.
For good PR. Right. I'm on that.
So this is in my journalistic experience, and I did a bit of PR as well for a few years. These are 9 things that might make a journalist go, we'll run that on the local website or in the local paper. 9 ideas for good PR. Right. First one is agency opening birthdays. So if you've just opened, that's new because you're a new business. New is news. And also if you've celebrated 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year, 25 years, the media likes 5s, multiples of 5s, and especially multiples of 10. Yeah. So if your agency next year is celebrating 25 years in business, build a load of content and PR around it. New is news. David has picked up on the soundbite. Right. So number 2, long-serving staff members. Long-serving staff members. So if somebody's been with you 10 years plus, you don't want somebody, so-and-so's been here 18 months. They don't care. But if somebody's been there 20 years, they're interested, especially if you can link it back to when Barbara joined, we didn't have the internet. And then Barbara talks a little bit about how life has changed in 20 years as a letting agent. Big them up. I like that. This is another one, and this can be really interesting if there's an aspect to it. So the third one is office opening or refurbishment.
Okay.
Right. And because people go, so what? There's a thing in journalism and PR called the so what factor. So you tell me something, Dave. You say, we're just launching this great bit of prop tech and it does this. And I go, so what? Here's the so what, though, when it comes to office opening and refurbishment. If there's an aspect of your refurbishment that serves the community, it could be, and I know an agent in my town actually is thinking of doing this because I'm convincing him, is to let his meeting room be handed over to organizations that need a meeting space in town because there's nowhere for them to meet.
Haslam's do that, They do that for charities.
Megan was telling me about what they do, and yeah, brilliant. Do you know what I mean? I love the sound of that business. They should join the content club. Another thing as well is if you've got a mural, like maps, people, and forgive me if Normie and Co have got a map up in their office, but I'm taking my big map of the UK Isles down in my office. I thought, I don't know why I got it. It's ridiculous. But if you've got a mural, or, and this is an actual example that got coverage, a guy in quite near us, his office, he's got a massive wall, and on it is a picture from the First World War of soldiers marching out of town past his actual shop, what his shop was during the day. And so he gets people come in, and it's a talking point. I don't know how.
I tell you who's got a lovely mural. I'm actually looking as we speak to see whether I can find an example of it. But our friend Oliver James, Crest,
he's got a painted one, hasn't he? Yeah,
he's got a hand-painted one by a local artist, and it's their main high street, and it's brilliant because it ain't perfect, And but it's perfect. If you live locally, you know every single landmark.
Exactly.
And it's brilliant.
It's perfectly imperfect, that one. I've seen it. I've been into his office. That's a great example. So when he had that done, if he'd have went to local press or local media, they're doing their job. There's a bit of PR. They'll go, oh, have you seen this in Oliver Jones? So that's number 3. Number 4 is the good old community events. By that, there's stuff like, I always go back to litter picks, loads of Santa's grottos going on at the moment. You've got Halloween bashes just gone. That I've seen some agents do some wonderful stuff around that. So anything that involves the community.
Letters to Santa, all that.
Santa's a brilliant one. Anything like that, do something. And it could be the bit of content that you've done around that. Just send it to the local press. Find out who it is. So don't just think local press, but also your Facebook groups as well. That content is doing PR for you in a neighborhood Facebook group. And it's not selling your agency. It's saying, oh, we've got letters to Santa. Would local kids like to come and drop off their letters to Santa? Number 5 is sponsorships, which is a bit, when I was a journalist, I was a bit like, so what? Sponsorships of teams and groups all depend on the photo, the quality of the photo. If you've got a football team that you've just sponsored and you've got 15 under 10-year-olds in the picture with you and they've got your logo across the front, that's 15 mums and dads, pairs of mums and dads, and then grandparents. Oh, look, little Jimmy's on the local website. And that's what the press are interested in. They're interested in the multiple times that can be shared, especially now with the internet. So it's the good photo that makes the sponsorship opportunity. Number 6, David. The number 6 and number 7, it's a double bubble. It's a double whammy. It's the Ant and Deck of the PR list, because I was struggling. So I thought I'll just make 2 of these. So awards. You've been shortlisted. Guess what? You've been shortlisted for the Negotiator. It's a very long list of short. Right? Yeah. It still gives you the opportunity, in fairness.
It's a long list of short. That's very true.
Right. Yeah. And that's what a journalist is thinking if you share the whole shortlist, by the way. Trust me, the first thing I did was go, wow, that is a long list. Traditionally, journalists say a shortlist is 3 or 4. Yeah. But number 6 is tell them you've been shortlisted. Tell them you've been shortlisted for, and it is a respectable award. Do you know what I mean? It's an award worth winning, as are some of the others. Number 7, guess what, David? And the winner is David Mintz.
What's
he won? He's won best. Hold on, let me see. I've opened the letter. He's won best Jewish James Corden impersonator. 2020.
Oh, mate! Stop!
Right, number 8. This is my favorite. When I remembered this, I thought, oh my God, these lot absolutely nailed it. It was back when I was doing property PR. I get a phone call. Right, number 8, historic houses or celebrity houses, you can call this, Dave, because I know you're busily typing away like a court reporter. Historic houses. So I get a phone call. Jerry, we are about to sell. We've just taken on to sell Elton John's childhood home in Pinner. Right. And then me and the boss of the company was very forward thinking, and he wasn't afraid to spend a few quid on marketing. Was it a coincidence that he sold his business for millions last year? Maybe. Anyway, so we've said, how cool would it be if we got a Elton John lookalike? So he just went, and I sort of said it to him thinking he'd go, oh, this is going to be costly. But I think it costs a couple of grand. In all, with the photographer, it's about 3 grand. Put my bit on, probably 4 grand. So he spent 4 grand on this one PR opportunity. He's hired a piano to be outside the house. You've got this Elton John guy. It got in the Daily Mail. It got in all the trade press. This is going back probably 4 or 5 years, yeah? It got everywhere. It went viral, you know? So he sees that opportunity thinking, right, and don't get me wrong, you're not always going to have Elton John's childhood home, but you might have a home with a history, you know, like a historic house somewhere
like Rose and Fred West.
Yeah. The Rose and Fred West playground, I believe it's now been. That was Cromwell Street. How etched is that on the the psyche.
Everybody knows. So that there are. Do you know what? That's another great idea you've just come up with. But you've mentioned
Fred West.
You've mentioned sort of key addresses, and in fact, if I can just sort of give another supplier a little bit of a plug, did you see Street's top trumps, property top trumps cards that they did at the EA Masters? So in this pack of cards are famous houses, or infamous houses that just are notorious. So, for instance, Cromwell Road, and there'll be Wayne Manor. There would have been Buckingham Palace. There'd be all the stuff off the telly, Fawlty Towers, and so they had all these iconic houses, and they made something of that. But there are so many of that sort of stuff that is etched in our collective kind of cultural memory from growing up as a kid. So, for instance, do you know where did Eric from Banana Man used to live?
Acacia.
See, it's there, isn't it? It's there. What's the village that Postman Pat used to operate in?
Trumpton.
No, Greendale, my friend, I think.
I knew it went Trumpton.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do the Wombles live?
Wimbledon.
Right. Wimbledon
Common. Wimbledon Common.
Yes. See, but those sort of things actually do resonate with people, and your audiences have the same memories. So don't be afraid to sort of use. I mean, I appreciate Rose and Fred West. You don't want to necessarily talk about too much.
Yeah. Could you imagine if that agent took the same approach with the Elton John house as?
Yeah, no. We're not even going to go there. But there is something in it.
This is actually the final one, number 9. I said number 8 was my favorite. Number 9 is there's an agent. I'm not going to name him, but he told me a true story. Right, he got his agency into the local media, and he said people still talk about it now 5 years ago because he told people it was haunted, his office. But on his CCTV, David, he's got this thing of the door going like that, yeah?
So now, you could do haunted houses.
Haunted houses, haunted office. It was just something that the reason why that sticks out in my mind is because a lot of people would have watched that and thought, oh, that's a bit weird, that's a wind. But he used creativity and PR. Like people say, oh, it's PR spin. I prefer to call it positive circular motion, David. Do you know what I mean? Same thing.
So, I have now worked out who you actually remind me in this context. If you remember, no, not Sasha Distel. There used to be a show about ghosts. I forget what it's called. Probably something crap like Ghost Hunters. But it was with. They used to have this guy who was a sidekick, a guy called Derek Acora. You could be Derek Acora's brother. You could be.
Who's the one I interviewed him when I was doing feature writing? There's one, he's dead now. Colin Fry. And I went to him, I said something, and he went, well, I can't really tell you that. And I thought, well, you're in touch with the spirits. You should be able to tell me that.
Well, you haven't
touched the word he said.
You haven't touched a drop of the spirits in years, have you?
It was Colin Fry put me off.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because we do have a morbid fascination with things about ghosts and haunting, and even if it's naff, you want to somehow engage with it.
You know what? I know you got there in point 9, haunted houses, haunted offices, but you could add to that, just think differently. Because he took something so mundane, and he says he's had people walk into his office going, I always thought this place was haunted. Like that. It's not affecting his business because he smashed it. But I don't know whether he was being a little mischievous. Let's be honest.
That's carrying on your Ghostbusters theme from last week. But those are 9 really sort of easy ideas. So Jerry, there are some people out there who are watching this and they don't have. Do you know how sometimes you see agents quoted on the news and you think, well, how do they get in there every time? Why is it always that particular person they go to for a vote? What do you do? What do we do as agents? Do we put ourselves out there? Do we get in touch and say, hey, anytime a comment on the property market, call me, or does that not work?
It is literally that simple. When I was a journalist, we would get renter quotes because not the journalists are lazy, but when you're up against a deadline, you think, I've got to get a comment about local pet affairs. And my Filofax, this is going back a few years, it was a Filofax, and it wasn't people's names, it was their specialisms. So if it was housing, I would go H, and I'd have 3 or 4 estate agents. Now, 2 of them just, they wouldn't get back to you. Guess what? We never called those 2. One of them in particular, Mr. Elton John man, by the way, his company prioritized the press. So if the press came in, he'd always say to his managers in his offices, you get onto that. I don't want to hear we've missed a trick because you haven't been ready to respond. So get on their radar by just contacting them. Hi there, it's easy on social media now. If you ever need any housing or estate agency, or listen, there's a lot of news about housing at the moment, yeah, and house prices and all this sort of stuff. Become a journalist friend. They're still around. They've just gone online more than in print. Yeah, just it's that simple. Get on the radar. Yeah, get on the radar. And do you know what? There was one. Do you remember one called John something from Charcoal Mortgages? John Bolger? Was it John Bolger? This guy was on everything for BBC, everything. And one of my friends worked for the BBC, and when I started doing the property PR thing, I said, well, how's he got everything? He said, like, he'll always answer our call. It was that simple. He'll go, I'm in a meeting now. Sorry, guys, I've got BBC on the phone. I'll be back in 5 minutes. He would and then the journalist gets the quote or invites him on the show. It's that simple. Make yourself available. So how Richard Branson built up Virgin was a lot of that, just being so accessible to the press. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, I've got to speak to head office. That's why an independent can outdo a corporate in PR, because they're quicker.
They're nimble. They're available, and they can prioritize it.
Yeah.
Well, that's superb. Those are 10 top tips there for any agent to follow. That's what's on your to-do list this week. There's got to be at least one of those that you could do. And if you do nothing else, just call your local news outlets and say, hey, this is me. I'm an expert on this. Anytime you need to talk to somebody about it, give us a call. And I think
do they want a bonus tip, David? Because
I'd like a bonus tip because it's the weekend.
Well, 2 bonus tips. Me and you have discovered our mutual love of Sacha Distel's Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one. Check out Sacha Distel. Put it on in the morning, people. You will feel better about the day. You will. You just will. If you go, let's play Sacha Distel first thing in the morning, wonderful. He's so cool. I love him. The bonus tip. Music by Sacha Distel on Amazon Music. Alexa, shut up. Stop. Stupid person. What was the bonus tip? I can't remember what the bonus tip it was now.
What?
I really can't. Yeah, it's Sacha Distel. What's the bonus tip, David?
Oh, come on. That's rubbish, that.
I just literally can't.
I can't even believe I got dressed for this. This is the sort of amateurish stuff you make me do on a Friday.
Well, look, his inner James Corden is coming out now. He's being nasty.
I can't work with this sort of unprofessional behaviour. Well, on that beautiful note, look, there'll always be more tips. That's the point. You can always do more. There's always something you can do. If you are there you go.
Remember it.
He's got it.
Never say no comment.
Oh, okay. That's controversial.
Not controversial. It's like no comment is loaded.
Is it not acceptable to say, I refuse to give you any kind of statement until my solicitor arrives at the police station?
That's fine because that's legal. But when you get somebody saying XYZ estate agents who had a problem tenant, students, devastating a road and scaring everybody in the road, declined to comment or responded with.
So it's better to say something than.
Yeah,
are you worried about misquotes? Because we all know local newspapers sometimes they'll just take you out of context.
I don't think it's as bad as people fear. And I've never met a journalist. I don't think I've ever met a journalist who's openly gone out and stitch somebody up locally. Nationally, different kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean? But local journalists, I think you there's more trust factor because a local journalist might bump into you in the co-op.
So we're going to look at some comments that we've had in from our one fan and one viewer. Hello, Megan. It's like a little show just for her, isn't it, really?
I don't mind because Megan's nice.
So Megan has asked a great question here. And I know it draws on all of your kind of PR and content background, but Jerry, what end of the celebrations tin do you start at? And, well, let's add that because that is PR. They did a PR stunt, didn't they, last week with the bounty? With the bounty. Does it work? Do you think it was naff? Do you think it annoys more people than it attracts? What's the deal? Or is it the very fact that you and I are even discussing it means that they won?
It's works because people are discussing it. People are sharing it. PR is very simple. You know me, David. I'm a very simple man. I believe people complicate everything. PR goes, what's the upside of us doing this? And what's the downside? So Cadbury's or whoever it was who do the celebrations tin, they would have had the conversation because they'd be working with some good level PR people. What's the downside of making this bounty thing? We'll get a few people online saying, cost of living crisis, you're talking about bounty. War in Ukraine, you're talking about bounty. But most people will think, see what it is. It's a little bit of fun. And you know what? Bounty should be banned from celebration tins.
What?
So this is the most point. It's like, I don't think, I hate, like, was it Terry's chocolate orange? You can't have fruit and chocolate. It's weird. It's just weird.
I've got to tell you, I really do love a little bit of bounty.
You like Turkish delight, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. I do. Well, because I'm half Turkish.
Yeah, but that's like me saying I'm half Irish. I like potato stew.
You're telling me you don't like a glass of Baileys? Come on.
You used to.
Exactly. See? You probably look at when a glass of Guinness goes by, you're probably like that, right?
I'm salivating.
That's what I'm like. That's what I'm like with a bit of Turkish delight. We've got some other comments here. Also from another listener called Megan18. Have you ever seen the meme where it's somebody begging for food, given a bag, but the person is taking a selfie with them? That's how I feel about a lot of charity work with agencies. It's such a delicate balance. I got asked for a photo of me at the food bank for something, and I was like, well, no, it's not appropriate place to be taking a selfie. Do you agree or disagree? Because
I get Megan's point, and in that instance, I think it comes down to personal preference. I would see it as that's very laugh the Brexit comment. I think it can be viewed another way. By getting publicity for what you've done for the food bank, you're getting publicity for the food bank.
That's you're lending your credibility to that, and vice versa.
Yeah. I remember once though there was an agency done a sleep out, and they had a for sale board. I think I can remember the agency, but I'm not going to name them because I actually like the guy.
Okay, I'm going to say something controversial here. I can feel it coming on. I've got to tell you, I've got a real problem with charity stuff that is not that is ironic, and I'm going to tell you that I feel that agency sleep outs, you know, it's the last thing in the world that a homeless person wants to see.
Yeah,
is your fat shining face wrapped up in a blanket going, I managed the last 8 hours, give us your money. That is the worst, honestly, the worst thing you can
say. I couldn't agree with you more, right? And I'll tell you why. Could you imagine nowadays if you said, you know what, we're not going to eat dinner tonight? You know, like to show like thinking heat or eat. This is terrible, man. This country's
there was an agent this week. And I get it. It's a lifestyle thing. I'm not the healthiest person in the world, so I'm not here to offer diet advice. But people do fasting and stop fasting. Somebody posted, they were like 19 hours way through a 48-hour fast or whatever it is. It's great. First of all, keep it to yourself. I'm not interested. But secondly, how do you think that reads to somebody who's struggling to put food on the table? Was it on
their personal page, though?
To me, it doesn't really matter. I think it comes down to the same thing. sometimes we need to check yourself before you wreck yourself with these sort of statements, because when if you're doing a charity sleep out, I get that, but
don't do it. For starters, don't do them. They're bad ideas. They're bad ideas, David.
But I've also seen other stuff that if you're raising money for disabled people, but you're running 5 kilometers for them, it is a bit of a piss take. It is. No, I'm sorry, mate. It is. It is. It's like, look at these legs. My legs work. We're going to run 5K today.
That's so different. That's totally different.
Not different at all. It's not different. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, right. We're big into fundraising. Me and Charlotte were talking about this. You know what raised the most money? Not my marathon. Remember when I cut my hair that time?
Yeah.
So I trained for 9 months to run 26.2 miles with a bad leg, and I raised more money growing my hair for 2 months and getting it shaved off by Wendy. Ridiculous. This world is
so I'm gonna tell you something about doing that. You can do that, right? You can do that. Raise money for charity and help somebody. So my girls grew my daughters, that is, not my bevy of beauties that I travel around the country with. I'm not, I'm not there yet. But my daughters, they grew their hair long, and there's a charity, and when they had it cut, there's a charity that you can donate that hair to, that use it for other children that need wigs, who maybe are going through chemo or whatever. And I just think that there are so many things like that if you get it right, it helps the person. It's a bit like estate agency. I always say the products and the solutions that are great for estate agents are the ones that benefit the end user most, the landlord, the seller, the tenant, the buyer, whoever that is. And it's the same with charities. Think about it. Before you do a sponsored run or a sponsored, whatever it is that you're going to do, particularly the sleep outs, just think whether anybody benefits from the actual act that you are doing.
Don't do the sleep outs. Just don't do them. Really simple.
Well, there we go. We've killed the sleep out. I think there are, but homelessness and I'll never forget, and it haunts me to this day. I walked out of the Grosvenor Hotel in the middle of Mayfair. It was the Negotiator Awards a couple of years back. But if you walk out 10 o'clock at night, you take a stroll down Park Lane. Beautiful. You walk past the Porsche garage and the Ferrari garage and the Rolls Royce and the Aston Martin, and you get to the most wonderful headquarters of Fine and Country. But mate, lining the pavements, but literally lining the pavements, are row after row after row of rough sleepers. They're all out there all night, and you are in the most lucrative area in the whole of London per square foot, and yet we have this problem. We don't see it. When you see the juxtaposition, that's a good word, isn't it? When you see the juxtaposition of affluence and wealth next to a failure of society, because let's face it, all homelessness is a failure of society, that is something that hits you and it haunts you. And I think highlighting that is the way forward in terms of if you want to make an impact.
I 100% with you on that. But like Megan said, about having that feeling of I don't want to be seen to promote the agency or myself by helping these people. Why not just go, or an agency staff, go and help out at a homeless shelter, and that's it. Just say, we've helped out at St. Mungo's, I think that's one around here, Mungo's homeless centre this evening, and that's it. And we've made a donation. That's it.
There's a few wonderful guys and girls, I'm sure, who are barbers or hairdressers, and I've seen this on TikTok. They go around and they'll find a homeless person and they'll say, "Do you fancy a free haircut, mate?" They'll sit them down, they'll talk to them, they'll give them a haircut, they'll give them a shave. It doesn't cost them a penny, but whilst they're doing it, they're talking to them, and you think to yourself, well, hang on, this guy's promoting himself. But what is really interesting is he's not promoting himself. He's asking a homeless person a few questions, and you can see the fact that these people don't get to have normal conversations with a barber like like you might do, and just say, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend? How did you get here? How old are you? Where are you from originally?"
Stereotypical barber goes, "You going anywhere nice?"
You going anywhere nice? Yeah, that doorway over there. But it's interesting. He does ask them, "Have you got somewhere to sleep tonight that's warm?" And if they say no, he sorts them out with enough money to get them through the night. And I've got to tell you, that is, to me, it humanizes these people. It shows you that they're real people, and there, but for the grace of God or for whatever else you believe in, goes any of us. And I think that is the sort of work that we can be doing better when it comes to charity.
And I think what a wonderful place to stop there, but for the grace of God, which applies.
There we go. Reverend Lyons, if I could ask you to lead us in prayer.
Well, I'd like to sign out with Sasha Distel.
That's great. Well, have a wonderful weekend. Anything good going on this weekend, Jerry?
Football on Sunday. I'm going to a comedy club tomorrow with James, my mate James.
Oh, lovely. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
And don't heckle them. Those guys go through a lot.
Never heckle. Never heckle.
All right, just saying. Second to property valuers, they are the most heckled people in the world.
Imagine that. So, how much do you think your house is worth? Well, actually, I think your house is worth about 400,000.
You ask. I've got to tell you something. You ask agents, if you're halfway through your pitch and your flow and you're explaining to them how wonderful the customer service is going to be and what you're going to do for them, and every now and again you'll get somebody who goes, wait. I just want to know how much it costs. How much is it, and how much is it going to cost me? And you feel, oh, you've ruined my whole act. Anyway,
but what do you do? Because I'm just genuinely interested. What do you do when that happens? How do you navigate around it? How do you get it back on track?
So it depends. There are some people, Jerry, who are not being rude. They're wired differently. So there's the reds, the greens, the yellows, the blues. High yellows are people like me and you. We like to talk to people. We're salespeople. We can put a bit of spin on things. We know when.
Salespeople? I've never seen myself as a salesperson ever.
You sold me, baby. You sold me. But high reds are people that have got no time for your waffle. They just want the bottom line. All they care about are figures. The bottom line, what's going to be in their bank account. And actually, you've got to pitch to the person rather than just go on your own way. And if you're the kind of valuer that gets easily thrown off track when somebody interrupts you or takes you down a different direction, you probably need to just practice dealing with those hecklers a little bit more. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. And it made me think of something. Pitch to the person, don't pitch like the process.
Oh, baby. You're going to work on that and refine it for next week. I know you will. I know you will. Thank you for joining us, everybody. That is Mintz and Lyons out.